All right, I just want to introduce myself to you because I'm your instructor for your course, and I want to share with you who I am and what I'm passionate about it besides microbiology. So I titled this talk, Bavaria to the Bioverse, a microbiology's educated journey across micro and macro worlds. And that's literally traveling around the world and looking at the tiny things under the microscope, which both I'm really passionate about. The picture behind me is actually the castle I grew up right next to, across the street from there. And it was absolutely beautiful growing up in Bavaria in a small, tiny village. And as you can see, it was close to the mountains. We were roaming out all the time. And so it was fascinating being on a farm, on my uncle's farm a lot, and just living the life and being a child without much restrictions, what students don't have or what kids don't have that much anymore today. So my little worldview in the Bavarian village really was very limited. It was a very homogeneous society, and I didn't know much that there was a world out there until I met my husband and traveled to Nepal as well and saw that there was a whole new world out there, and it was absolutely an amazing experience. And it did start when I studied at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland for my study abroad. And again, that's one reason why I'm passionate about studying abroad. But it did, my world really opened up when I went to study abroad at Edinburgh in 1989. So just to give you a little bit of background about my education, I started at the University of Regensburg in Germany, where I studied biology, and I was very fortunate. I had this amazing microbiology professor, Dr. Karl Stetter, who worked on the deep sea vent bacteria, and he actually published with Carl Woese, who described the archaebacteria, and so it was really exciting times. So he was extremely infectious as an instructor. I studied there for 3 years, and then I went to the University of Edinburgh for my study abroad program. And again, another absolutely amazing city, just beautiful. And both of these cities are actually UNESCO World Heritage Sites, so it's beautiful places. And I finished my bachelor's degree at the University of Edinburgh, so I was supposed to go back, but I got stuck there literally because I met my husband, and I didn't want to go back to Germany. So that was that part of my unexpected journey, but it was absolutely worth it. From Edinburgh, Scotland, we moved in 1993 to the United States, and my husband had the opportunity to do a PhD at a small college in Mississippi. So we moved from Edinburgh, Scotland to Starkville, Mississippi, and I don't know if you've been there, but it was definitely a culture shock, to say the least, and especially because it was over 30 years ago, and Mississippi was, and still is, a little bit different than many other places, to say the least. So at Mississippi State, I got to do my master's in microbiology. I studied the gut microflora of a cholera model, and that was really fascinating. And that's probably one of the first places where I got really excited about the gut microbiome, which most of you will hear about me talk. And so I got my master's degree there. Then I started at the University of in Alabama at Auburn. I started my PhD, but I didn't. My instructor, my PI, got sick, and so I moved to UAB, University of Alabama at Birmingham, where I studied parasitology. I worked on molecular parasitology of African sleeping sickness. Again, another really interesting project, and that's why I'm really passionate about parasites, which many of you will hear about too. And then I came to the University of Florida for my postdoc in oral biology, and I studied Streptococcus mutans. So that was my academic history. And again, at the University of Florida, I also did later on did another Master's of Science in Entrepreneurship when I was in biotech. So that's my education. So I've been in school forever, basically, and really didn't quite plan it that way. It just happened, which is great. That's how life works. So my jobs, I had a variety of different jobs. As an undergraduate student, I had internships at the Max Planck Institute in human behavior, which was absolutely fascinating as well. And I did also an industry internship at Roche, where I developed new restriction enzymes. And there was, again, really good insight on what industry is like. After my master's degree at Mississippi State, I was a lab tech for a year. And then again, I came to the University of Florida as a postdoc after my PhD. I then left the university for about 7 to 8 years, and I worked in biotech at a small startup company at Banyan Biomarkers. We developed new ELISA assays for brain biomarkers, and that was really interesting. I really enjoyed industry. A totally different way of doing research and science, but it was a great experience as well. And then I came back to the University of Florida to teach in 2010. So again, I never thought I would end up as a teacher, as an instructor, but I started, and I, as many of you know, absolutely love what I'm doing. That's been a journey for the last, many years, since 2010. And lots of things have happened, everything from outreach project to student summer camps to surviving the pandemic, where we shipped out lab kits. I did get a couple of awards for teaching and mentoring, which is really exciting. And my most recent journey is getting into AI and AI-ifying the microbiology lab. So stay tuned and see what's coming along that front. But it's been an absolutely amazing journey, and especially meeting many of our fantastic students and getting to know them on a very different level. So I'm very, very blessed to have this journey so far. All right, besides my academic work and my job, what gets me up in the morning? So the picture in the background, again, is probably one of my favorite places. That's Bodhanath Temple in Kathmandu, another UNESCO site. And it's just a very unique and peaceful part of the really, really crowded city. But it's a nice, beautiful place as well. So what gets me up in the morning? Well, my family for sure does. I've got 2 daughters, and my older daughter is an anesthesiologist, and my little daughter is figuring out what she wants to do with her life. And I do have a little grandchild. Her name is Ava, and it's been really fun seeing her grow, watch, and see how her neurons connect and how she's out in the world and, interacting with nature and the environment. So I've been really very, very lucky to have my family. And my husband, you can see in the middle of the picture, who is from Nepal. So my family is definitely gets me up in the morning. I do love the outdoors. I love exercising and gardening. And at the bottom left, you can see my grandpuppy, Louie, and he's my running buddy. And so we go running a couple of times a week. So I really enjoy being outdoors a lot more than just sitting in front of a computer all day. I do like food, especially fermented foods, and I make usually my own bread. And whenever I go traveling, I try whatever I can, especially as it comes to fermented foods, and drinks sometimes as well. I do like people watching. I think it's fascinating how the beauty of many people actually, and how they sort of live in their different environments. I do like traveling in general, and one soft spot I do have definitely is hot springs. So whenever I go somewhere, if I find a nice hot spring, I definitely don't say no. A couple of other pet peeves I have, and to the detriment of my family, where I stop at the side of the road and look at lichens or petroglyphs, and I think that's just fascinating, both from a historical and biological point of view as well. All right. Just to wrap up with my teaching philosophy, I think teachers should, keep learning, should be eternal learners, because there's so much new things, and I can't teach you something that what I learned 30 years ago, because a lot of things are outdated, and I think the way we teach, we should think about that oftentimes as well. And, just to cite John Dewar, if we teach today as we taught yesterday, then we rob our children of tomorrow. So I think we need to think forward on how we teach, what we teach, and why we teach as well. And there's just lots of cool things, new things that we need to integrate into our teaching. All right, so let's reflect on my journey, which has definitely not been a linear journey, and how is your journey unfolding. And again, don't take it as a step backward if things don't work out, or if you don't get necessarily the first time when you apply for something, you don't get. Life is a journey, and it is a beautiful journey, and it's always about going forward. So thanks for listening to my journey, and I'm looking forward to be a part of your journey as your instructor.